Hey friends, welcome to the Angie Ambrosetti Show, Let Her Out to Play. I'm Angie, your host, a teenage mom turned multi-six-figure earner, married to the same man for nearly 40 years. I'm a homeschooling mom of 7 and totally unqualified, at least on paper, but wildly called by God. Remember, He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Here, we are going to talk about it all. Healing from the hard stuff, building a business with heart, raising a big family, walking in faith, and finally breaking free from the lies that said we weren't enough. So if you're ready to stop playing small, shake off the doubt and the shame, and step fully into who you were created to be, girl, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hey friends, here I am coming to you again today. This was totally an unscripted, unscheduled podcast recording. I was just sitting in my office this morning and I was doing some work. I work for my husband, and I also have my own network marketing business that I totally love. And I was just doing some things and I thought, you know what? I just felt this calling on my heart that I just needed to drop in, that I needed to just give you guys a little bit more of the juice, a little bit more of this whole let her out to play. And so, as I started the podcast several weeks ago, I was in the midst of a series. I'm still in the midst of this series on teenage pregnancy because, as you know, that's where my story started. I was a teenage mom. And I actually don't hold any guilt or shame around that anymore. I always kind of used to. But as multiple people have been coming to me, sharing their story, and just the Lord is really putting people in my path that I did not know prior to starting this podcast. And so I love the fact that I am meeting new people. I am getting in the space of a lot of people who actually struggled with that and who have come out on the other side, and they're feeling free. Like they're finally able to share more of their story. They're feeling more confident, more comfortable in their own skin. And that is exactly how my journey has been. I'm feeling so much more comfortable in the fact that all the things that I've shared, not only that I was a teenage mom, but that I ended up, shotgun wedding, married to the same man for almost 40 years. Um, just all the different things that have come along on my journey. And I just wanted to hop in and just say, you know what? Here's the thing. If I can do this, you can do this. I haven't always thought about doing a podcast, of course, because podcast hasn't always been a thing. But as I listen to more podcasts, I get more comfortable, more confident in my own skin. And I just want to show up for the women who need someone to show up for them. And I want to help women see that they can show up for themselves, even that it is okay that we started a journey that wasn't perfect. It didn't look like a cookie cutter setting, right? But it's turned out great. And actually, even better than great. I am so obsessed with my life. And people who are in my space every day now, like they hear me say obsessed about a lot of things. I'm obsessed with Jesus, with my boyfriend, and with my pink drink. My pink drink is a part of my network marketing business that I've been in for 10 years. And I just love sharing and helping and encouraging other women. I also am a certified life coach. I haven't talked about that a whole lot. I just really have launched my business within the last year or so with my coaching business, and I'm helping other women set themselves free. They're breaking free from the lies, the self-sabotage, all the things that have held them back over the years, because those things are near and dear to my heart, because they are things that literally held me back for so long. Just, do you ever tell yourself, oh, I can't do this because XYZ? I can't do what she's doing because she's educated, she's wealthy, or she's beautiful, or she's this, or she's that. I did the same thing for a long, long time. And I want to help other women break free from those things like I have been able to do. And so, in the midst of all of the things, like, yes, I was a teenage mom, and my tagline is teen mom to multi six-figure earner. And that is really the truth. That is where the truth lies. And that I started at one end of the spectrum, but then I've ended up on the other end of the spectrum. And it's not even over. Like, who knows how much further this podcast is going to go, my network marketing business, my coaching business, whatever the Lord has in store for me, that is exactly what I want to take advantage of. And I also do work for my husband. He's a general contractor. So I work in our office. And I love showing up big time every day for his business, for my network marketing business, for my coaching community, and now in this podcast. And I have had such great feedback so far. I mean, just getting started, literally, like it's 1 week ago today that we actually launched. And the feedback that I've been getting on the actual podcast itself, as well as people messaging me privately, just really thanking me for showing up, for being willing, for having the platform, for having a place where women can speak their truth, they can share their story, they know that they'll be encouraging other women, and it's giving them the confidence and the strength to show up better, bigger, more confident. And that is the goal. And so already I am feeling so overjoyed, so excited for what the rest of this podcast is going to look like. And so I just want to ask you today, if you are listening and you're feeling like, gosh, I really want to show up in a different way, is that possible for me? I want to tell you 110%. Yes, absolutely. It is possible for you. All those moments when I used to think, I can't do this, I'm promising you, this is what I said. You can ask friends. Oh, I can't do a podcast because one, who would listen to me? I'm not college educated because that's the mindset that I had, thinking I had to be college educated. Who's going to stay along for the journey? My story, it's not that important. It's not that exciting. Who's going to want to keep listening? Have you ever said those kind of things? I felt the same way when I started my network marketing business 10 years ago. My mindset was I've done multiple different network marketing companies in the past. They never really panned out. As a matter of fact, my husband said, please don't get a 1099 because we know no one ever makes money with those businesses. And I was like, oh, hard pass. Don't worry. I'm not doing this as a business. I just want the products because when I started the products, I got really great results. I was battling migraines, constipation, restless leg, vertigo, IBS, and I was exhausted. Being a mom of seven, that takes a lot out of you. And so I had absolutely zero intention of working it as a business. And even at that, I was like, who in the world would follow me? Who in the world would do this with me? And what I found is that when I showed up encouraged and enthusiastic, I was a cheerleader in high school, for those of you who don't know, so I can cheer with the best of them. When I showed up to encourage and bring people along on the ride, it made all of the difference. And that is just a part of me learning and growing, finding confidence in who I was, who I am, and who God has called me to be. And I stopped listening to those voices in my head that said, you're not enough. You can never do this. No one's ever going to follow you. Everyone's going to think you're crazy. A lot of people did think I was crazy when I got started. But you know what? People thought I was crazy when I found out I was pregnant at 19 and I got married and we started a life together. People thought I was crazy when I had 7 kids. People thought I was nuts when I started homeschooling because remember, I don't have a college education. So how in the world was I going to homeschool all of these children? And how were they going to get educated if I myself didn't have a college degree. Those were some of the things that held me back, that literally were crushing on me. But I just kept showing up every single day. It's not that I wasn't educated, it's that I just didn't have a college degree. Okay. And so now 6 of our 7 children have graduated. 3 of them have college degrees. The others don't, but they're all very successful in their own right. And I will say that my 2 oldest sons, who I home educated from my oldest son was 6th grade on. The second one was in 2nd grade when we started homeschooling. And oh, I'm sorry, that's not right. Not 2nd grade, 4th grade, my mind. Um, my oldest son is a physician. My second oldest son is a pharmacist. They both have their doctorate. Now think about that. Mom homeschooling them, no college degree, and yet they both have their doctorates. I'm super proud of that. Our daughter went on to college to get a Christian education. She stays home and homeschools our 5 grandbabies, or hers, those 5. Because remember, we have 13, number 14 is on the way. Our next son is taking over our construction company. My husband's a general contractor, like I said, very successful. My other 2 sons are working and doing great, and they don't have college degrees. And so for me to say, it's hitting me now. For me to say, I don't have a college degree, who am I? Shame on me, shrink down. Like, I had to change that way of thinking and that way of talking, because I have children who don't have a college degree, but they're very successful. And I want to lift them up. I want to help them rise just the same. You know what I'm saying? So everything that we put in our minds, that we tell ourselves, we start to listen. I remember years ago, I read this book. I think it was about 8 years ago. What You Say When You Talk to Yourself. And when I saw the title of the book, I was like, well, that's crazy. I don't ever talk to myself. But what I learned is that we all talk to ourselves. And the sad part is that we listen. I listened to myself tell these stories over and over again of how I didn't matter. I was worthless. I'm not college educated. Who would listen to me? What do I have to offer the world? That is just bullcrap, right? I don't want to tell myself that anymore. I definitely don't want my children telling themselves that. I don't want them to hear me saying that. And I absolutely would never tell my grandchildren that. So we have to stop and think about the things that we say and the things that we listen to in our minds. I want to encourage you today to do a little mind work. I want you to go back and I want you to think about some of the things that you've said to yourself. Think about, what are the things that you say that are holding you back? Because that is really self-sabotaging. That is exactly what was happening to me. And I have learned to overcome those things. I've done a lot of coaching. I've done a lot of healing, number one, and getting my mind in a place that is aligned with what God says about me has made a massive impact in my life. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. Stop and think, even write those things down. I know some of the hardest things for me through my coaching and my healing journey was writing the things down, because putting them on paper and then going back and reading them myself, hearing myself say the things that I really thought and that I was saying to myself, but doing it out loud, it had a different impact. It landed different for me. And so I began to do a lot of this really deep healing and trusting that the Lord had the very best plan for me. And when He says, you are my child, you are a daughter of the King of the universe, how dare I say, I'm not enough? I'm worthless. I don't matter. I'm not educated. Who's going to listen to me? All those things that I've said over the years, I have recanted those. You know what I'm saying? I am having a different attitude, speaking differently, aligning myself with the one who created me has made a massive difference. Now, I was a Christian earlier in my life. I became a Christian earlier in my life, but I still had this thinking that all these things were true about me. And I just wanted to show up today and say, I want to challenge you to go back and think of the things that you're doing and the things that you're saying about yourself that's dragging you down. Because this is one of the things that I coach in my healing coaching that I do. I'm known as the breakthrough coach. I help women break free from these self sabotaging things that they're saying and they're doing in their life. We call this the golden key. And this is what it says: the way in which I relate to myself directly creates and impacts my relationships and my circumstances. And I want you to think on that for a minute. Write it down, rewind, go back and listen to this. Because here's the thing: the way in which that we relate to ourselves, who we are, how we show up directly creates and impacts our relationships and our circumstances. And if you put that into play, I guarantee you that you're going to look at how you are relating to yourself more frequently, and it's going to change your perspective on how you relate to yourself, because you want to show up not in an egotistical way, but confident and strong and knowing who you are and whose you are, because you want your circumstances and your relationships to be impacted by the way that you relate to who you are and whose you are. So, anyways, I just wanted to come on here today and I just want to give you that little bit of encouragement. I hope it's helpful. We are continuing the series on teenage motherhood because, guys, I am having some amazing interviews with women. I just had a phone call with someone who was 13 years old when she found out she was expecting her first baby. So I've interviewed or I've talked to women that were 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, women who have made a difference in the life of their children that they got pregnant with at these early ages. They didn't give up. They went forward. Most of them have all raised their children. A couple that I've interviewed have given their babies into other family homes, placing them for adoption. But the majority of them, and well, actually all of them, they're thriving. They're moving forward. They're knowing that they had those babies when they did for a very specific purpose. And they're thriving now as grown women and adults. And some of them have, one woman that I interviewed has 10 children now. Wow. I thought 7 was a lot, right? But you just never know how the Lord is going to use each and every circumstance, each and every relationship to impact your life, to impact the life of your children, to impact the life of your grandchildren, to impact the life of someone else who needs to hear your story. So don't be afraid to speak up and share your story, because like me, when I was afraid to share my story, I decided that once I did, and I saw the lives that it was going to impact, and I'm getting the feedback of the people who are encouraged and they're just waiting on the edge of their seat for the next episode to drop. That lights me up. That gets me excited. And that's exactly why I did this little bonus episode in here today, to just hop in here and say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Don't be afraid. And remember, the way in which you relate to yourself, who you are, directly creates and impacts your relationships and your circumstances. Let me know in the comments if this encouraged you. If you have something that you want to add, if you have something that you want to say, if you know someone who needs to hear this podcast or this specific episode, please go back to the show, leave a 5-star review, because that is what's going to help the algorithm move this podcast out to the people that need to hear it. And leave me an honest review, because I want honesty all across the board. All right, friends, until next time, Keep letting her out to play and be everything that you were meant to be, and stop playing half court. Go all in. You got this, my friend. That's it for today, friends. Thanks for tuning in with me today. I hope today's episode stirred your soul, sparked your faith, and reminded you that your story is far from over. Keep walking in freedom. Keep showing up bold, and never forget, God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Be sure to leave a review, subscribe, or share this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it as well. Until next time, keep letting her out to play, because the world needs your fire.